So like, I could get religious if I want to. I come from several schools of thinking. I was born a 5%er. I've studied that type of information my whole life. And for the most part, I was able to extract the wisdom out of it, even when the historicity wasn't right and exact. But there was a saying that I picked up. It was this self-help guru. And I'm not into self-help gurus. I think self-help gurus and their messages are fraudulent. I just have to be honest with you. But this particular guy, his message was a little different. And I adopted most of it because it was in line with the religious instructions that I was getting in my last school of thought. And he said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. And there was something else that he said. He said, the betterment of the individual causes the betterment of the system. And the betterment of the system causes the betterment of the individual. Out of, I don't know how many hours, I think it's about 2 hours worth of information. Those two things have always stuck with me. And so what I try to do is better myself, especially in this space. And I try to lead by example. I try my best. I try my best to dead all the beefs. I went in the space the other night, some guy named Conscious Outlaw. You know, somebody sent me a message, this dude in there going in on me. I jumps in the space. Because I'll jump in your space. It's just, it is what it is. But I'm not going in to confront you just on some rah-rah. And I kept asking the brother, okay, brother, cool. How do we get past this, right? I'm trying to figure, because you're trying to bring up old stuff that's already been put to rest. Mason, et cetera, et cetera. What can we do to get past it? And the brother kept saying, ain't nothing could be done. I don't trust you. Wow. Okay, brother, well, what makes you not trust me? What makes you not trust? He couldn't give a straight answer. Couldn't give a straight answer. Then after I left the room, I heard his own people was getting on him. It's like that man came up on the stage and you couldn't really articulate nothing. And that happens. It's going to be some people that just don't like you just for the sake of not liking you. It could be over a misunderstanding. It could be over the absolute facts. I've not changed my position on how I felt about Mason in that whole situation with the comptroller and the government, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't talk about it no more because I don't have to. It's over with. It's done. It's something that was divisive in the community of those of us that are trying to move forward collectively, at least with the message, right? We might not be moving together, but that message. And I see it in a lot of people that it wasn't in a year ago. It wasn't. But now I see it. I hear it. We won't hold on to old beefs for the sake of just being adverse. For the sake of being adverse. I'm like, okay, brother, okay, cool. So what can we do now to move past this situation? What can we do? And the brother didn't want to move past it because he likes banging on Twitter spaces. And at some point, we have to recognize that that is not the pathway to go. And I think I may have said that when I was leaving. I think I said it was either that space or another one where I did the same thing. How can we get past it? And I told the people as I was exiting, family that's listening in, because the space swelled up because I went in there both times. And I said, this right here, these types of spaces is not what it's about, family. Make sure y'all get some political education. And I've adopted, right? Because that's what students do. They adopt. Somebody's mic is open. They adopt the things that are sound, right, and reasonable. And I told them, learn how to be a political organizer, a political candidate, or a political operative. Right? I'm running with that from now on. Because many of us are in this space because we're waking up politically. We're waking up politically. And so because I've adopted that, I can now spread it on to others because that is what a student does. And that is what a teacher does. So with that, I want to go to Brother Shannon, our brother Freeman Media, and then Fierce. Go ahead, brother.
Good afternoon, brother. Good afternoon, family. I really didn't have a lot to say. I just wanted to thank you once again for opening dialogue to something that I think that is really important to the family. We've talked on our back channels and things that are happening out here. They're happening for a reason. I want to commend the folks that put on the rally yesterday because, although I've seen and heard things, thrown out at what happened on the 16th, it had nothing to do and did not do anything to bolster what happened yesterday. If you're doing anything positive in this reparation space, everything is a plus. And it doesn't really matter who's putting it on. It doesn't really matter how many people actually show. As long as it's positive and it moves our needle forward, that's what the important thing is. And that's what BTP has always done. They've always risen above the fray, above the bullshit. And I want others to understand that because we've all been rocking together for years now. I mean, we don't have weeks in, we don't have months in, we have years in here now. And where we need to continue to build is moving our needle forward, not bickering and infighting. And all these new cats that are out here causing discord, they will fall by the wayside because they really don't have a platform to stand on. They just want to be about the bullshit. So, whether you liked it, loved it, didn't like it, hated it yesterday, it looked like a positive move. It seemed like a positive move. It felt like a positive move for many people who might have not known about reparations a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But we've been out here for a long time now, and we're just starting to see people that are coming into this space, and I call them babes in reparations because that's what they are. They don't really understand what our real goal is. It's not about a hashtag. It's not about a moniker. It's not about a handle. It's about reparations. That's what the goal is here. And that's what I want to continue to see BTP do as far as the teachings and anybody that's riding and rocking along with you. But anybody that's against us, the same thing's going to happen to what happened to that hashtag mafia. They're going to fall by the wayside because if you're not standing on shit, you falling for everything. So with that, I land. I appreciate you, brothers.
Honest, brother. And that's just what it is. As long as reparations is winning, that's all I care about. That's all I care about. This subject, this topic, this measure of repair that is sorely needed for the 40 plus million American freedmen in this country is all that I care about. Of course, when it comes to this thing, I don't want nobody to, you care about that more than your children? I care about my children, of course. I care about me and stuff more than anything else, but I'm just speaking figuratively in so far as this topic is concerned. Some people try to hold you to crazy stuff, but yeah, so reparations, as long as reparations is winning and the message is being elevated, then that's where I'm at with it. And I wanted people to know that. And like I said, there were people that I told this personally to, that when this November 5th rally was over, that I was going to hold the space so that we could start this process of healing. And, a few people, some of them in the room right now, and I see some of them. Brother Fairdish, you're up.
Yeah, what's going on, bro? Yeah, good space, man. I'm gonna give an example of what you said before in the space. Because I'm looking at how a person has to want repair. Some people have been like damaged so much that they can't see past of being healed. Like I think we've some of us have seen some videos about Albie Shores in his recovery stage after about 2 months of being in a coma. you know, and I showed this to some young folk. I said, yeah, y'all seen how be showed back in the day, man. This was like that dude, you know. But then, when you look at him with what he's going through now, it's like, yo, he has to get himself back. And you got people around you that gonna help you to rehabilitate yourself, to walk or to talk or to eat or to just do simple things, just to write your name. And you're gonna hope that everything is gonna be all right with that, because it's a time frame, it's a process. So, and then that, I'll be sure, hopefully, he gets to where he wants to be, to where he can see that repair in him, to be somewhere he can feel better about himself, and see that he is progressing. Cause I think, I don't know, I'll be about maybe what, 50s or something, 50s, somewhere around. But it's just the idea, just saying that, is a person, do they want repair? Do they really want repair? Like, when I used to be a manager of restaurants for about 14 years. And before I got into the next level of management, like, the top dog, you had this, and of course that comes with, a little higher of a salary or money, whatever. You're put into a position to see if you're going to be about this position without the money, meaning that you're not just in it to just be uh, taking on this position for the money purpose. You in a position to see, are you really about what the management really is, as far as to really cover more terrain or more people or more scheduling or more inspections in the store. It's a lot of things I can tell you, but I'm saying a person has to want repair and not just be about flakiness and just trying to have a bogged down to just argue about stuff, and I'm gonna say this, argue daily over something. They gotta stop wanting to just be about that, because it doesn't do anything. That little girl, I think most of us saw that little girl on the clip from the yesterday's rally. The girl, 8 years old. She has to surround herself with people that are about her entrepreneurship, that are about her seeing how it is to be overwhelmed in reparations, to be overwhelmed with education and really understanding about her history. Not from the school, because we're going to have to gut the school one day, the school system, but really be about the narrative that's going to take her to the next level when she gets 25 years old, when she gets 35 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I think people got to want it, man. And just like if you in rehabilitation from a car accident, you may get so upset that it happened, but it's like, now, okay, you're surrounded by people that want to help you. They want to help you get to walking again, talking again, eating again, writing again, just breathing again. People gotta want it, man. People gotta really want to be a part of this and be a part of repair, and stop bickering about nothing, bickering about stuff and just competition of what the hell am I competing for? I'm in the same damn lineage. We doing this thing together. We're gonna have to do it together. So I'm gonna leave it like that, man.
Indeed. I want to, I said I was going to stop doing this, but I want to address somebody because, and I'm going to address them because I want it to be and I want it to be as an example of what I'm talking about. This La Farmer Irie dude, right? And it just hit me the other day, about a week ago, that this was a guy that I was debating with on Spaces some months ago. This guy, these people, it's crazy, right? So I spoke about chaos agents. So I'm going to give y'all an example, right? We have a good positive space going on. And this La Fama Irie dude says, the narcissist corner presented by Lord Yabba Dabba Doo. Hashtag Goof Troop, hashtag Team Goofy, hashtag Unfreed. And this is this brother's response. My sister Riri said, not cool, bro. I thought we were cool. His response to her was, sis, this is a narcissist, and he is not built on scholarly works. Skips over and omits things when reading because it doesn't fit his narrative. I seen such a space, and he knew he was the only one speaking because that's what narcissistic patterns show. I speak no lie. sister said he always opens the mic. I know him. My sister Riri, I've known him personally for years. He has great intentional work. It is scholarship because you can research it all. He has a team that has my blood brother on it, and I know there are no narcissistic ways about them. We want the best for us, bro. Now, the space is open, right? Now, the reason why someone like that doesn't come to the stage is because his counter to this space is a personal attack on me. It's projection. It's true narcissism when you look it up. It's sociopathic narcissism that says that no matter what, I am going to be an agent of chaos. And I seen that on Sister Kiana's post yesterday when she shared my space. I hope I'm saying your name correct, sis. And, you know, somebody jumped on and these guys start going in and talking a bunch of stupid stuff. And, you know, I thought to engage them. And then I made a comment or two, and then I left it. I said, you know what? I'm not going to go there with them. I'm going to leave it. And that's exactly what I did, because in my teachings that I spoke about earlier that I've adopted, I said that man must be the message that he brings. He must be the message that he brings. And I knew what I was going to do today. And like I said earlier, I like to fight too. It is what it is. But right now is not a time for chaos. Right now is a time for celebration. It's a time for celebration. So to people like Lee Farmer.
Let me say something real quick, bro.
Go ahead, bro.
I just want to say this to La Farmer if he's listening. We're going to have the conversation / debate or whatever it is that you want to have about the word Negro. Just please believe it. It's going to happen. You're going to get exactly what you're looking for. That's all I want to say, bro. That's it. We're going to put this Negro thing to bed once and for all. He believes that he's a Negro. He believes that our people are Negroes. We're going to show and prove the historical facts surrounding the origin and use of the word Negro, and he's going to stand by that once we give it to him. That's all I want to say. We can move on. We can move on.
No, y'all stay tuned for that, because we're going to get it in on that one. We're going to do that one on BTP. That's not going to be on a Twitter space, unless Ali wants to do it on the Twitter space. But I want to do that one.
Yeah, YouTube.
On the YouTube. Yeah, we're going to do that one on YouTube.
So we could present the sources.
Yeah.
We could talk about Negro land and where that came from. We've already done that. We've already done it. We got to do it again. But I want him to be there this time when we do it, so he can't front and act like he didn't hear what the fuck we saying.
Facts. Because my man said Africa was once called Negro land, and we brought that over here with us, and that's why you had the Negro Leagues. What was the
bro? It don't even matter. We're gonna stomp that shit in the ground.
Ali, you know what? It's like we just said. Do you want healing? Do you want to be repaired? Do you want it?
Some people don't.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like the brother's trying to. It's like what he's saying. He's trying to be peaceful. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, like, yo, if somebody want to fight, sometimes you just got to fuck a nigga up.
Point blank. I shared a video on my wall. Look, I shared a video on my walls. These white chicks outside fighting, and the one white chick had a baseball bat, and she cracked the other white chick in the jaw. Ping! I was like, oh! I felt that joint. And every strike was absolutely crazy. I'm like, how's this white girl still standing? She must be opioid up or something. What Dave Chappelle said when he shot the dude with the shotgun.
Yeah, but bro, let's get back on track. We sent him.
No, I am. But some people just want to.
What you're doing is very, very powerful.
Indeed,
right? It's very powerful and very important. I don't want that kind of niggardry to take you off of what it is that you're doing. Get back onto what you're doing.
It's not.
We'll deal with that dude after.
Indeed, indeed. Good luck. All right, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it there. See, I got counsel that I listen to, family. So we're gonna move on. I want to go to Marcel first because he was at the event yesterday and he spoke. So go ahead, brother Marcel.
Yeah, y'all, and yeah, I wanted to say real quick, as far as the gentleman y'all was just speaking of, and I know Ali, I don't want to just derail the conversation with that, but I just want to tell y'all what's going on, and it kind of ties into this as well. We have to understand a lot of our people, I think the majority of our people know that we're owed reparations and supports it. Okay. Now, they may not be where we are. Generally speaking, it's always going to be a small percentage of the population that's extremely active in pushing a certain type of goal, a certain type of movement. That's generally how it goes. We might actually be exceeding that because every day our ranks are growing, which someone refers to like, I think babes or something like that. The reason we're getting so many new people because more people are joining this movement. A lot of our people are politically homeless. They're disgusted with the Democrats. They definitely don't want to join the Republicans. I tell people, I don't care what party you join. You don't have to join a party. It's policy, not party. But our people still think party. So a lot of our people are like, okay, I'm checking out. I'm done. Some of our people ain't never checked in. So they're finding this reparations movement that's speaking to our issues, and it makes sense to them. I'm one of those people. I was never involved in politics. Came across this movement, and I've never looked back since. However, people still have their human foibles, okay? Some people are still very petty. Some people have a big ego. Some people, like to talk trash. Some people wear their heart on their sleeves. I'm one of those people. I think I know how to keep reparations at the forefront and move accordingly most of the time. My thing is when we sometimes see chaos happening, that is not necessarily, and it irritates me too, but I don't think I get bothered by it as much as some of y'all do. I really don't. Maybe because I don't know, maybe it's me being a teacher. I've seen things, I've seen people go at each other's throat, kids, parents, and then the next day they're friends again. So I don't get too bothered by it. I don't know. Some people really take it to heart. I kind of don't. I mean, I have my moments of bitterness about feeling like I'm not being supported enough and stuff like that. I really do. But I kind of know how to keep not focus on the target. But everyone is at different places emotionally and mentally speaking. Some people aren't bothered by feeling like they aren't being supported. Some people are bothered by feeling like someone's throwing shade at them, and they may throw shade back. That doesn't necessarily mean that those individuals don't care about reparations or they are not in it for reparations, but in it for themselves. It could simply mean that their personality in some aspects are just more sensitive to certain things than ours. Like in my case, I have had many, I mean, right now as we speak, there's many people saying awful things about me right now. I mean, all types of nasty memes and slander out there about me. That stuff really doesn't bother me. I get more bothered when I'm saying I need donations or I need people to help me out. And it seems like no one's responding. I'm like, why do I have to keep begging? And this is something we claim we want. That bothers me. For some people, that doesn't bother them. Some people, that won't bother them at all. Some people, it bothers them if someone says, oh, they were throwing shade at my rally, calling my rally a failure. And I'm just gonna say, like, with Tariq and with Stepper, like I guess Stepper was talking trash about Tariq's rallies, so Tariq took a shot at him. Some people that bothers them more than what bothers me. So I think we're all bothered by different things. And the goal is for us, I always say, don't let hurt feelings hurt the movement. That has always been my ideology. Naheem, you and I once upon a time had a fallout. But we never really took it public. I mean, a few little things here and there, but it never really went public because my attitude was hurt feelings aren't going to hurt the movement. If everyone's coalescing around reparations, then damn it, that's going to be most important. I don't care what is going on with me. So people are bothered by different things. I want to say to people, we can't let what's bothering us bother the movement. And we just have to get there. We really have to get there. But, we are humans. I just left a room where a lady came in, Sir Major, well, Re-Up's room, actually. And she was like, there's a lot of chaos. And, oh, my God, y'all turning people off. And I said, wait a minute. Hold on now. Wait, stop. I said, what place on this planet, this is hyperbole, but I said, what place on this planet is more chaotic than Congress? I said, we are grassroots people. The majority of us, well, on Twitter, everybody's making six figures, so I was wrong, but I thought the majority of us weren't making a lot, but on Twitter, everyone's six figure, but so whatever. I still said that. I said the majority of us are dealing with high levels of stress every single day, high levels of insecurity that we wouldn't have if we had inherited the wealth that is still owed to us. I feel a lot of us are dealing with mental, emotional, and physical trauma. A lot of us are dealing with the bitterness that comes from having lived through injustices or knowing your parents, like in my case, lived through injustices and never got justice. And some of your loved ones have left this earth and never got justice. We're grassroots people. We are not getting paid six figures. We're not political scientists. We're not lawyers. We're not whatever. I say, yeah, we've gotten more done in the past 3 years. The first hearing on HR 40, you know that happened because of us, okay? The fact that every representative, and someone came in a room yesterday, she works on Capitol, and she was like, I can tell y'all, everyone's talking about reparations. So the Republicans, the Democrats, Libertarians, everyone on the Capitol, everyone in Congress is talking about reparations now. That's us. We did that in 3 years with no mainstream media coverage, with no big financial backing. Matter of fact, the media was determined to black us out. That's what they did to me in my race until they couldn't ignore me no more. It gets to a point where you're causing such a ruckus that they say, okay, ratings versus Clyburn, making Clyburn happy, and they're going to choose ratings eventually. But they still didn't give me the coverage, nor the other candidate, Dr. Anderson, that they gave to Clyburn. And they say when we would go to them with articles, they would say, well, if we're going to cover one, we got to cover all, but they didn't apply that in reverse. The point is, though, we've done this in spite of opposition. It's not like we all start off at the starting line. Our movement starts off, every other movement starts off. No, when you are standing up for Black people, Black Americans, descendants of American slaves, you're starting off at the starting line 400 years behind where every other movement started off. Maybe white women start off at the starting line. Maybe Native Americans start off at the starting line. We start off with 400 years behind, and then we start off with every weapon, every slander, every tool being launched against us. And yet in 3 years, we've gotten more done for our people than Congress, in this case, the Democrats have in the past 60 years we've been voting for them. So I told Leslie, it's a little unfair to expect us, just regular everyday people, to be so well organized, and yet people getting paid six figures and have become millionaires, cough Clyburn, not doing a damn thing for the people in his district, still can't get things done, or they can and choose not to, which makes it worse. So the point I'm making is, I think, and this is just me being real, we're always going to have a level of chaos, okay? And the moment we accept that, the less it's going to bother us when we see it. Because I enter everything, I'm a pessimist. I don't have positive feelings about nothing nor no one. I don't trust anyone. I expect people to betray me eventually. That's just, I've always been that way. Always. My great-grandmother was like that. She's a very suspicious person. She was always thinking her great-grandchildren and great-great-grands and grandchildren were always trying to do her wrong and stuff like that. But we loved her. She was a lovely woman, warm-hearted, kind, but she was very untrusting, always very suspicious. My aunt is like that. So it runs in my family. I don't trust no one. I have low expectations. I have high expectations for everyone, but I always feel that people are going to be disappointing eventually. So when I see chaos break out, it doesn't bother me. But we're going to have to learn to coexist with a certain level of chaos, especially when we are dealing with people who have inherited 5 centuries of trauma and poverty and debt. And we are still fighting the same issues in many aspects that our damn great-grandparents were fighting. In some aspects, we're worse off because they had land. Okay, they had some sort of economic base, even though they were being systemically deprived of their rights and access to opportunities. They actually owned more homes than we did, percentage-wise. So I do think we have to be comfortable with a certain level of chaos. And maybe because I psychoanalyze everyone, because I've always psychoanalyzed myself, when I see people get into it, I always just think certain people have certain triggers. Certain things trigger people more than others. With me, it's again when I feel that
I want to jump in. I want to jump in, brother Marcel, because I want to be clear on what I'm talking about with chaos, right? So if I start a room and I make my voice sound like this, and I start calling everybody bitch ass niggas and rah 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 rah, right? And I do this, make this fake voice, and the only thing I do is sit around and talk about other people. Like those type of people got to be boxed out,
That person
right?
needs to go. Right. That
Yeah,
faceless,
you see what I'm saying?
voiceless.
So,
Yeah.
so what I'm trying to do is influence the people that really they don't necessarily understand politics. We come, some of us, right, come from the hood, we come from mess, we come from a bunch of fighting. I was talking about that earlier. So when you come into a space and the dude got a fake voice and you know what I'm saying, he going in on
And he
everybody.
don't show his voice and he don't show his face. See that. Now, see, I don't ever criticize rooms people going because sometimes I go in rooms just to listen. Sometimes I need to know what mess is going on so I can know what to prepare for. Because for some reason, no matter if it's y'all, if it's quote unquote security tribe, if it's Tariq, for some reason everybody wants to write me when they're mad at you, when they're mad at Tariq, when they're mad at KD. For some reason, people like to come write me about it. Like, what the heck am I supposed to do? So I always got to know to some extent what's going on. So I got to say, okay, I don't got nothing to do with that. But some people, though, don't deserve our time and dignity. A faceless, fake voice, a faceless voice box using, illegal immigrant loving punk who won't show his face, doesn't even use his real voice. Why any of us will entertain that? I mean, I know people talk about Jason Black. I get it to some extent. I've seen him before because he came to Charleston and I met him. So I know what he looks like. I don't get into that because, if he wants people to do it, he'll do it. If he doesn't, he doesn't, whatever. But even without that, though, all projects he's done in the past that people could point to, with that particular person you're talking about, ain't nobody can point to nothing he's done besides whole nasty, slanderous room. So there
Andy,
are.
let me say on a Jason Black and Professor Black truth thing. Like I'm for those that for the people that's putting in work in this movement, right? And I see somebody like that it really is just shade that's being thrown at Sister Camilla. I'm gonna respond. I'm gonna respond, regardless if it's a faceless or face or whatever. I'm gonna respond because it doesn't make no sense. You see somebody that's out there tirelessly working and doing the things necessary to move this reparations conversation forward. So for me, I'm like, well, I like to fight. I said that. I said that earlier. So I'm gonna jump in there and I'm gonna say something about that in hopes, right? The first thing I hope is that is like, okay, so now you gotta wait. Am I gonna respond to Naheem, which means I gotta respond to BTP, which means I gotta get into a YouTube fight with BTP, right? So okay, cool. So now the hope is you correct yourself. I've been corrected before. Huh?
No, I was gonna say, and that's exactly what happens. Like you can address someone, and then another thing that happens that leads to chaos sometimes is like you address me and I address you, but then like you have your followers. This is just an example. I have my followers, and then everybody's going at it, and that's usually what happens a lot of times on Twitter. It's not even usually a lot of people going at it. It's usually people's quote unquote supporters wanting to, I guess, defend the honor of the person that they support, and they start going at it with the other person. And that's usually the main way that things start going at people's necks. Now, my thing is this. I feel that we always going to have a certain level of chaos. And some level, this sounds crazy, and I'm going to end with this. I've said this before. I think it's a good thing in a certain way that we do kind of fight amongst each other. And I'm going to say why. Because I don't want it to get to a point where we almost have like a Messiah-like figure or Messiah-like figures where they never are questioned, they're never challenged, their ideas are never vetted, even if they have the best idea in the world and it's research supported and you know it's going to work. I still think a person should be forced to defend their ideas because you need to defend it among people who want you to be successful, because I think the majority of us in this movement want our people to get reparations. I don't think any of us are so hateful. Well, yes, some are. Called Pariah Carey, aka Vet, excuse me, but yeah, Pariah Carey, as I call her. Some people are so hateful, they would rather us not get reparations, it's not going to be them. However, I don't think most of us are like that. I think most of us want to get it, but even then, We need to have our ideas vetted. So that way, when we get in front of people who are extremely hostile to us getting what we all owed, we are more seasoned now to defend. And that's one of the reasons why I always stay on Twitter, because it does season you. It does give you, I mean, I've learned a lot of data from y'all show, Be the Power. I've learned a lot of things from stats posted on Twitter. Even Yvette Pariah Carey, I'll give her a shout out. I've learned data from her. So when I use things, and that, so we should always want to be vetted. And I like the fact that no one's above getting checked. And all figures have gotten checked. People have called you out, people call me out, people call everyone out. It may be BS a lot of times. But the fact is, though, I don't want a repeat of what happened with the civil rights movement, where certain people had asked, even Martin Luther King Jr. admitted this before he died. He was like, I can't remember the quote. He was like, certain people are more concerned with walking through the halls of Congress than they are with walking through the halls of justice. And he pretty much was saying the boule. They were more concerned about having lunches and getting elevating their own personal status in the movement. And because they had access, they didn't speak for the real people. And Martin Luther King Jr. was like, well, damn, I done integrated my people into a burning house. I done messed up. Let me get back to the grassroots and get this thing done. I don't want that to happen. I like that we all call each other out, and I like that we all can assess each other. And I know I talked a lot. I'm going to say this, and I know I don't want to derail it. I do want to talk about Mr. Farmer you mentioned. I don't have anything against him. I mean, not necessarily, even though he has indeed. I saw his clips of space. He has spread lies about me, but whatever. People do that. We do have to understand there is I don't know what you call this thing, main character syndrome or something. It's a real damn thing. Where some people, like, they must be the main character. They must be the leader or something. It's related to a syndrome called founder syndrome. It happens when people like find an organization, like they must be the head, even when they see it's crap. Some people are using rifts between certain individuals to kind of wedge in, and like they're trying to butter other people up, when really their whole goal is just to get people to follow them. It's not about reparations, because the American Negro stuff, Ali said it. We done debated that. We done discussed that. We did facts, like a news story did a room. We did data. We showed references. We showed that, it has to be, they don't do reparations and stuff like that based on a racial classification. An American Negro in our times will be considered a racial classification. We talked about Freedman, and it seemed like it was all good. And then he went back and kept doing it. And he came back. I think his Twitter account got suspended. Came back. He wasn't doing it for a while. This whole big blow up with Tariq and everything happened, or Rashad, or whatever, the dueling rally saga, as I call it. And then, one group went this way, one group that way. He found a group he could endear himself to, and he wasn't mentioned American Negro, and now it's slowly coming back. He was like, okay, I got some people who like me now. Now I'm going to introduce this back and get my little following back. We need to be careful of. It's okay not to like someone. It's okay to even hate someone, I guess. But don't hate someone so much that you make unwise decisions and follow someone who hates you just as much. They just want to have supporters. That's all I'm going to say.
Indeed. Yeah, good looking. I wanted you to actually come up and speak, but I don't throw people to mic. I just, if they want to come up, then they come up, because I go in spaces 9.9 times out of 10 just to listen, and people be throwing me the mic. I'll be like, I was just trying to, hear the bill, hear the conversation. So now I got to remember the order. I think Prime is next, and damn, it's Evanston for reparations. I definitely all right, but what I want to do is, that's because somebody just sent me a request saying they're gonna be real quick. I gotta let my sister go real, because she says she's gonna be real quick. So I'm gonna let my sister Constance go in, then we're gonna go to Prime, Evanston, and no taxation. Go ahead, Sister Constance.
Hello, everybody. Peace to the room. Peace to the freedmen. Everybody in this space and fight for reparations. I just want to say I was at the rally yesterday, and I wanted to go at the Marcel because I was triggered. I don't have a lot of patience for what I find to be not getting us to the goal to reparations. I kind of heckled the brother, Dr. Kaba, because he got to talking about ancient African history which I didn't feel like was related to the topic. So I had to keep yelling out, what about my reparations? And, I never want to be, because reparations is so important to me. I don't care who talking about it. If I can be there, I want to be in the space and learn all that I can and share it out. But, I never want to be counterproductive to us reaching that goal. But I was definitely, triggered, and I've been in the space, but I'm also learning, and I'm also, learning to, find my voice in this space. But it really peed me off just to, just for him to go. I was hoping that the brother was going to bring it home with, bring his point back to reparations. But, it's frustrating. And I appreciate Marcel saying that, we got to have a level of understanding and grace for our people, because it's not to say that they don't want reparations. It's just that, we all are where we are in the space. But I got to say that I'm fucking super proud to have been in attendance to 2 reparations rallies in a matter of a month. To me, that's progress. I feel like that means that, the word is getting out. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say for real.
Indeed,
Love
indeed. Good
y'all.
looking, sis. Love you
Yeah.
too, sis. Peace, peace. So I want to say this real quick before we go to Prime. Sometimes, when you have events like this, you're gonna have speakers, and they not gonna say everything you want to hear, right? Our example is Hawk Newsom and his sister. Shout out to that brother. Shout out to that sister. I just know when they was up on the stage, my phone was blowing up. Like, no, what are they talking about? Cut the mic. Tell the DJ to stop. Start playing the music. Right? And I was just kind of standing there like, ooh, I was like, then I got to the point where I had to put my phone in my pocket, right? Because it was like, let me stop looking at the phone so I don't, just when everybody got off the stage, I just told everybody, yo, great job, excellent, powerful, powerful presentation. They was like, burn this motherfucker down. I was like, no, that's not what we talking about. This ain't a burn it down. Really.
I was in a Twitter space the next day. I think I was like, I just want to say BTP and United Sons and Daughters of Freedom are in no way anarchists. You understand? Do not think that's what we was out there to do. Like, I don't want our organizations put on nobody's BIE list or none of that kind of bogus bullshit, man.
But, and I just say that to say, when you have events like that and you have different speakers, you can't necessarily control everything that everybody's going to say. So it happens. There's going to be people that get up and say things that are not, in line with what's being spoken about. Some people, like Red Grant, he spoke at our march, the march that we held for reparations. And, he said less words than what he said at the other, the one that happened yesterday, right? It's like, and I guess maybe in that time he just got a little more understanding, but he said it. He was like, look, man, I'm not, I don't really know too much about the topic. I just know that I support it. It's a bunch of intelligent people out here, wada, wada, wah. And the brother got off the mic. Everybody's not, they've not as studied as many of us are that's in this room right now on the topic, but they know that we need reparative justice, e.g. reparations. So, that's going to happen, so we have to expect that from when you have a panel of speakers. Everybody's not going to be, on the same, I guess, code or talking points that you're going to be on. And that's okay. As long as the message got out there, and the fact that you was out, I ain't gonna lie, wish I could hear the audio. You said, what about reparations? Right? Because in my brain, if I could yell out what I was thinking while Brother Hawk and his sister was talking, everybody would have been they would have been replaying that audio all over Twitter right now. Like, yeah, what are you doing? But it is what it is. Shout out to them, right? They came, they spoke, and they said the things that they felt was necessary in the moment. Go ahead, Brother Prime.
Oh man, peace, peace, peace to the host Naheem and the co-host Ali, aka Steve, and salute to the BTP family, and salute to all of the people in this space, the Friedman family. Salute to all of y'all, man. I was also at the reparations rally, and it was great. It was beautiful. We had the numbers. The message was out there. I really like Dr. Ma'at. Obviously, Marcel shut it down. I think each and every one of them brought something to the table as far as when it came to reparations. I did notice how Kaba Kameen did kind of veer off, but that's to be expected. He has a whole history of the whole Afrocentricity thing or whatever. But at the end of the day, we were all there. There were no non people or people who did not support reparations. So it was all good. It was all love. The vibe was great. The energy was great. The crowd was fucking amazing. It was beautiful. We were we were engaged, and I really felt among family. I've never been to a rally like that where I could guarantee that 99%, or I'll just say, let's say 95% of them were American freedmen, and it was a good amount of us there. So um, I really appreciated that. My favorite part about the rally was there was a little girl, I'm sure a little freedman girl, who was out there interviewing a lot of the speakers. I saw her interview Tariq. That was our own little
Hey, she
Freedman
put me
Youth
through the ringer
Media.
too,
That
Prime.
was
She put
that was
me through
our
the
own
ringer.
Freedman Youth Media. She interviewed Marcel. She interviewed Tariq, and she was very professional. Her energy was lit. Her energy was live. It was beautiful, and I commended her for that. And her mother was there, and supervising everything, and it was all love. So yeah, I appreciate that. I want to end it on this because this is very important. The Freedmen Conscious community is organizing for political power. So um, this brings chaos to the anti-Freedmen racism agenda. We will continue to bring chaos to the enemies of the Freedmen and build community among our Freedmen First family. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you for the space, and let's continue to build. Peace.
Indeed. Peace,
Can
bro.
I say something real
Yeah,
quick?
go ahead, Marcel.
Didn't really speak much about the rally yesterday. First of all, it was an amazing rally. I've been to several. I went to Tara Zone that she did on March 2020, well, February 2022. We originally planned it for January, but the insurrection happened. We were still going to go. It was supposed to be the week of the insurrection, or the week after, but they told us, because DC was in a state of a crisis, they told us not to come, and then they made us not come. So we went in February, and it was freezing. Like, my eyelashes had icicles on them, and I've never felt cold like that before. But then I went to yours that you did down in Atlanta, which was amazing. And now went to this one. And all of them have the same atmosphere. But what I've noticed, the crowds are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, first of all. Second thing I'm noticing is the age. The average age range is 20 to 40. Okay. The same group that a lot of the party, especially the Democratic Party, because we're talking about black people here, the group that the Democratic Party is having a hard time reaching, we're pulling them in and pulling them in. Third is the number of men. I would say it was more men there, young men present, than women. So that's another thing. We talk about get black men to vote. Hell with getting us to vote. Get us to run. Get us to run to become the on-code candidates for whom we can vote. And a lot of black men yesterday said they were going to run. Some for county council, town council, some for U.S. Congress. So it was a beautiful event. Shout out to Tariq for pulling this off in a very short period of time. I know it cost him personal money, because you don't do something like this in a short period of time without spending a good bit of money. And trust me, as a person who's done little events before, in my little rural area where things cannot be so expensive as they are in big cities, it definitely costs us, but it was great. Yes, with The Constance mentioned Dr. Smalls. You know, he's from the civil rights era. He was like
It
with
was
Malcolm.
Kaba.
Oh,
Kaba.
Dr. Kaba. Okay, Dr. Kaba. Okay, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he said. I was behind the stage, but I do know there was some Pan Africanism going on. And speaking with both of them, they both feel like one doesn't have to cancel out the other, and that's true. But they also have to understand we're not doing that flat blackness stuff either. We are specific. We're specifying that we are a unique ethnicity and the unique lineage. We have a unique political status in this country, and that comes with seeing policies that are unique to us. But it was great. It was amazing. Met a lot of people, so I just wanted to say that.
Indeed, indeed. Let's go to our sister. Evanston rejects reparations. I was on the Zoom conference the other night. It was about 70 of us on. There's some things happening, man. We don't talk about a lot of stuff in the public, but there are things that are happening behind the scenes. And that's why I say over the past couple of weeks, I've been saying what I've been saying, and I've been asking people specific questions about, well, what are you doing? You have a lot of criticisms and critiques, but what are you actually doing in the fight for reparations, right? And, that was a powerful space. Go ahead, sis. Introduce yourself. Let the fam know what's going on. And
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Rose, and we're actually called Evanston Rejects Racist Reparations, and that's because we are touted as the first municipal city in the country that has a reparations being offered to us, and the reparations they're being offered are in the form of a $25,000 housing allotment, and so those of us who are knowledgeable about this movement said that's not reparations. We don't accept that. And so we've been fighting against this for at least since 2019 is when this was brought into our city. We now have an additional a hashtag that we have to put up, and it's Illinois rejects racist reparations. And before I tell you a little bit about that, I just want to compliment Tariq in doing a really wonderful gathering yesterday. We were not there, but I think Evanston is going to be at probably the next ones. He pulled together the message for all of us, and I was just so happy to see so many of our people there, and I don't know what the count was. It had to, I don't, was it up to 1,000 people in attendance?
The final count was like somewhere close to 4,000, 3.5 something, that 3,500 something.
Oh, that is so beautiful. My heart is beating heavily for that. We're getting the word out despite the chaos that we've all been through with the different points of view. We got that message out, and we are so excited over here in Evanston because we had just held this webinar Friday night, and we have so much energy that came from that webinar. We had 100 folks, 120 plus folks that signed up, and we had about 70 or 80 folks in the room. And essentially what's going on here is that our Governor Pritzker has started an Illinois Reparations Commission, which would be comparable to what's going on out in Cali, like the Cali commission out there. He has decided to place a young man on the commission as a commissioner who has evidence, verified evidence of his family having been slaveholders. And he essentially has told us, as recent as I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before, that hey, that's the way it's going to be. We'll talk about it after the election. But this nothing like that has happened in California. The only person sitting on California's that is not that is not an African American is the Japanese guy. So we're trying to fight that, and we are now starting the hashtag of Illinois rejects racist reparations, and these are what are being offered as state reparations to us. So I just wanted to get the word out. We're going to be doing more webinars, and we're going to be doing them pretty soon because we're trying to capture the energy that we captured on Friday night, the energy that was captured in Tariq's march on Saturday. And I land my plane with that, but just keep an eye out for us. I'm sure these state programs will be popping up more across the nation, and particularly Sandy Darity said this is particularly why he didn't, that only the U.S. government can repair us, not individual states. And we're not even sure what Illinois is calling reparations is true reparations. It looks more like equity programs, and we're certain they're equity programs. So they've labeled it reparations. They've done the identical thing that was done in Evanston, which Evanston labeled a housing program where you could get a $25,000 voucher as reparations. That is not reparations. It's looking like what Governor Pritzker is offering Illinois are equity programs and not true reparations. So I land my plane with that.
Oh, indeed. Thank you. And I just want to speak to that real quick about, because it's not necessarily reparations, because these local governments do not have the capacity to repair us all. If anything, they can offer some level of repair to citizens in their state. In Georgia, it's almost impossible to get reparations because of the gratuities clause. That those that have heard me speak know that that's something that we're going to be challenging down here in the very near future. But I want to say that I think these local pushes, like the one that is happening in California, shout out to my Cali fam, of course, putting in that work, are great because it moves the obstructionists out of the way, Narcan and Cobra, who are only in this from my perspective and the perspective of my team. And I believe those of us that have our finger on the pulse of this situation, they're only in this for their personal bag and to remain close to the levers of political power. That's why this thing cuts so many different ways. It's like, okay, well, what happens if Sheila Jackson Lee gets voted out of her district in, what is that, Houston, I believe it is? Is it Houston or Dallas? I think it's Dallas.
One of them.
Houston.
One of them.
She's in Houston.
Houston, okay.
Houston.
Okay, so now what happens when this reparationist thing, this message starts hitting the streets and we start tapping that untapped voter block and start getting them to vote because we got this message of reparative justice moving through everybody's hands saying, don't you wish your conditions can be better? Look at what the federal government is doing for everybody else. Sheila Jackson Lee is helping in that regard. See, they fear all of that. They're thinking ahead. I'm looking at a lot of the stuff that they're doing. Look at what happened in High Point, North Carolina, with Sister Dawn and her arrest there. I was able to give 3 different presentations as an expert on freedmen history and how freedmen, insofar as our ancestry is concerned, and that status is or should be how reparations moves forward, like California has done, which the commission voted on after the presentation that I gave, after, of course, Dawn's advocacy. The NAACP teamed up with Narcan and Cobra in some way, and the next thing you know, Dawn is getting arrested, and I think it's the NAACP, or I believe that was NARC, or they put out a joint statement, Ali, you could correct me on that one, saying that we shouldn't be doing reparations based on lineage, that it should be based on race. So all of these local fights are important because when this thing hits the federal level, what we do at the local level is going to replace the footprints that they are trying to create at the local level. The concrete is still wet. And so we get a chance to step in and see their footprints and smooth over them and then step there. And they can't smooth over it. Look at what happened in Cali. They're not going to be able to smooth over that because the voters are already in. The only thing they're trying to do now is remove people like our sister Camilla Moore and those who voted for ancestral-based reparations as opposed to this race-based thing, which will not pass that California state law. I believe that's Prop 209 and the Supreme Court challenge. So let's go.
So I just say this for the rule.
I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, man. To Darity's point, right? I don't like calling these state and local initiatives reparations. I would prefer that they be labeled as acts of atonement, if anything, because I think his concern is that people get complacent with these things that are being done at that level. And I understand completely what you're talking about in terms of exposing the fact that Narcan and Cobra are the ones behind many of these state and local initiatives and actually having the fights with them that are necessary to have. But I think to Darity's point, it's very important that people don't look at these things as actual reparations or real repair. They may be, I would prefer, like I said, to call them state acts or local acts of atonement as opposed to reparations. That's just me, bro.
I agree.
And I mean,
Yeah,
where do we go from here?
go ahead,
We
bro.
need to go. We need to go to the ballot. That's all I want to say. That's what the main point from yesterday. That we need to become the candidates that are going to run on the platform that our people need and deserve. That was the concluding point message from the rally. That we want reparations. We're going to have to become the candidates that runs on a platform for reparations. And those of us who are not running will have to become the supporters, getting on the ground, donating of the candidates who are running.
Indeed, facts, facts. Become the power. We've been screaming it since we came into this particular space. Who was up? No taxation.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
Kelly, and then Brother Najee.
Hi, Naheem, and everybody that's in this space on this beautiful Sunday, because we're alive and we're breathing and we're still fighting. I just want to say a couple of things. One, Marcel, you're going to do well on the Hill. You keep that mistrust, because that's what's going to take you where you need to be. And it's going to take Black folks where they need to be, because it's an evil system and they're all crooks. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I want to just say a few things that you were just talking about. Wu Tang, I see, is Mr. Ali. Language is very important, especially now. What you all have done, let me just give you a backstory first. I've been in the movement since I was 3, and I'm over the age of 65. So I'm in the old civil rights movement, and I'm in this new, what I call the new Black movement for economic freedom. Okay. And that is from the Black Grassroots. That's all you young people out there that are fighting and doing a wonderful job. You all have done a wonderful job with delineation and disaggregation. You have done a beautiful job with that. And going to the census, these are all very important things that need to happen. And language is a part of it. I uh, I really like that atonement that Mr. Ali was talking about on a state by state level, because if you're going to say, say in Illinois, let's just take Illinois, that, well, we gave you reparations, then that means no national legislation will happen. And they're always going to look for tricks and change the game. Here's what's important now, right now, is that we continue to define lineage-based reparations. And I'm going to tell you why I'm saying that. Because the language has been co-opted by some of the people uh, running around in DC that are Pan-Africans and that kind of thing. They have adopted the language that you all have brought to the table and have used it for themselves. So it's time to change the language now, because you have to make sure that that line is drawn in the sand. I go for lineage based reparations, or I'm going to start hashtagging pure reparations, which is something that Sandy Darity uses. And I think that's important for us, because it's going to set us apart from the people that are trying to get to our money. So that's one thing. And I want to read you something else. This was a tweet from Sandy Darity today. White American support for Black reparations has grown from 4% in 2000 to 30%. Now, key barriers to pure reparations are Black pundits who will say it will never happen, and Black organizations who promote local reparations and HR 40 and oppose direct payments and lineage based norms. So, what he's saying is they have changed their language to sound like us. Here's what I want you all to know. White people get confused about Black folks. They really don't know nothing about no Black folks. Truth to tell, they don't know. They only know when we get upset. They don't know our daily lives or nothing like that. And that's fine. We're not looking for white folks to know us or understand us. We're looking for our economic share of the pie. That's what we want. Okay. So how does that translate back to how does it directly affect us? Here's how it directly affects us. Because white folks don't know us, they're going to use all the language that's out there, and they're going to use it from the people that are frequenting those offices on the Hill, which are the Pan Africans in DC. So we've got to make sure that we separate ourselves linguistically from whatever it is that they're saying. So maybe we need to start saying lineage-based reparations. Maybe we need to start saying pure reparations, because if they pick that up, that's already been decided by the Black grassroots what that means. They can't co-opt that. They can't take that. And that is something that we've got to pay particular attention to. When I was working with Darity some years ago on the Hill, the white man said to me, and I've said this several times, who do we pay? And that told me various different things. One was he was confused about who the Black people are that they're supposed to be paid. White folks don't know nothing about us. And so we've got to make sure that we stay in the forefront. You guys are doing a wonderful job. I say it all the time. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up, because this is what it takes. It's a real battle out here. And we have been infiltrated once again by the Pan Africans. If you go on that NARC website, look and see what their mission statement is. It's going to say the exact same thing that we're saying. The difference is they're not for lineage-based reparations, and we are. And that's a distinct difference, because I will tell you this: white folks in government would rather pay less people than more people. That's why they keep handing us a program, because programs are limiting. If we are able to close that wealth gap, we'll be unlimited. You see? So a part of it is political game. Part of it is political nuances. Part of it is linguistics. And we have to make sure that we stay on top of it. Now, having said that, I want to tell you what I tweeted, because this is where I really am. And then I want to send an invitation out to the lady in Evanston. Here's what I'm not mad at. Anybody who's fighting intently for lineage-based reparations, whether I agree with how we get there or not, because if they win, I win. And we have to adopt that and take that. We're not going to get along. We're not going to agree. And like Marcel said, that's fine. We don't have to. Everybody just stay in your lane and do what you do, and do it to the best of your ability. And we will be fine. We have them on the run. Let's keep them on the run. Let's not pay attention to naysayers. Let's not pay attention to people who are squabbling and bickering. Let's not do that, because it's a time waster. It's non-productive, and it's not going to affect your daily life unless you let it. You see, pure reparations and lineage-based reparations is what we need to be talking about and where we need to be. And I want to give a shameless plug for 2023, because everybody knows by now that we're going to have a rally on Juneteenth, actually June 18th, that weekend in 2023 at Sylvan Theater. We're going to do a multi-generational protest, political agenda, festive rally that also is going to teach people how to lobby. Hopefully we will have the toolkits, and there's a lot of people across the country that are working on this. It's not just me. And I want to give a an invitation to Naheem. I gave you an invitation. You already said you're going to be in Atlanta. If you change your mind, let me know. But I also, well, I want you to be there, and then I want you to participate. I want you to just come. See, I need you to do a couple other things for me. I'm good at asking people to help me. I want to reach out to the lady in Evanston, Illinois. And I heard about you all's fight. I could not get on that Zoom call. I do know that Derry and some other people were on that Zoom call, and we are very concerned about you all. I don't want you to think that you are not, that you're not on everybody's radar, because you are.
Thank you so much. And we were very inspired by the number of people that came into our webinar, and we're in the process of capturing all that information right now as you speak. And go ahead with your invitation. Just go ahead. I'd like to see, and I'd like to hear.
Well, the invitation is for 2023. We'd like to have your community there. We do have a person that is doing a outreach in the Midwest that is located in Chicago, because uh, we're going to get buses all over the country. So, and Chicago is one of those places where we've got to get at least, the area of Chicago and in the heartland, we've got to get at least a couple, hopefully 3 buses out of there.
Well, I can tell you about where we are. Evanston touches the northern border of Chicago, and so we are very close to Chicago. I mean, anything happening in Chicago usually affects us too.
Yes, we want to make sure that you all are on those buses, if you want, unless you want to fly. And we want to make sure that you're there.
Y'all could have that conversation on the back channel, please.
Yeah, well, Naheem, I'm not worried about nobody. That's one thing about me. I don't care if the white folks is listening, or
No,
agents are
that's not
listening,
it.
or ops are listening. Here's what I want them to do.
I'm trying to get the rest of the hand.
Wait. Let me finish. I'm almost finished.
Hold on, sis. Hold on, sis. I'm
I'm
trying to get
almost finished. I'm almost finished, Naheem.
the rest of the hand.
I'm almost finished. What I want to say, I'm not worried about nobody. But what I want to say is that we're also going to reach out to Indiana. And so you may know some people over there. And we're going to pull it together. So I just want to give you a formal invitation in public to ask you to be there.
Okay.
Thank you. I will think about it. We're in the process of determining that we have to begin traveling. Definitely.
I'm going to come off this room. Thinking like we need to get to the next hand. I'm not sure what I'm doing later. I did not even plan on staying up here as well. So, who's next? Sister Kelly, then not Wayne Gretzky, and Leslie Bonds. And that's it. No more hands. That's it.
Hey, is it me or
Okay.
is his?
No, it sounded like he was in the Matrix. I was about to say, am I in the Matrix or is Naheem in the Matrix?
That's him. That's him. Because I didn't know if it was just my thing. I'm like, maybe they
No,
can
I
hear
was
us.
hearing the whole thing. I don't know. Naheem, so you guys can hear me clearly?
Yes.
What's on there?
Okay. So, all right. So peace to the room. To the topic about where do we go, community or chaos, I wanted to say this. I think what the issue is with the bickering that we've seen going on, and I'm speaking for myself and other people that I have conversed with, is for a long time we have been able to compartmentalize between the message and the messenger. And so, but the question was brought up, depending on what it was that you believe in, and depending on the time it was, Adolf Hitler had a great message to somebody. Jim Jones had a great message to somebody. So my point in being that far of an extreme is, yeah, we're all on the same page about reparations, and to other people's points that were made in the room, we need to specify, because side note, during the recent rally, people did mention Narcan and Cobra. So I did mention in Cobra, let me be clear. So my thing is that, yeah, they might be for reparations, but reparations for who? I think that needs to be shelved out or fleshed out. And I'm not saying just with the people that said it, but I'm just saying overall. So we can say, yeah, they're for reparations, whoever they may be, but we need to be specific, like was just said. Are they for lineage based? Also, what I said again, and I'm asking this to whoever's in the room, Marcel, Ali, Naheem, anyone, how do we separate and compartmentalize again, because I've done it for years with people that I thought were janky and full of crap, but the message was good. But I knew that these were not the people that need to be at the forefront speaking about anything, because when it was time or it was at the moment of truth, they were saying things that they did not know what they were talking about. So yeah, we've got people that can rally people together, whoever you want to imagine that to be in your mind. But I do think that it is important as to the who's. It doesn't, I don't know if it's going to just be one person. I don't know. I don't care. But whoever it is needs to be speaking across the board, fine tooth, with so much precision. I don't think we can afford at this time to just let anybody get ahead of it. And it's not about, oh, you got to be it or somebody else can't be it. I'm not saying it in that way. I'm saying it that I think it's important so we're not being led down the wrong path. And I'll take a breath. Thank you.
Let me say, I'll switch it to
You still sound trapped to me, man. To me, you do.
Man.
What about you, Fred?
Yeah, it's in the matrix. Yeah, it still sounds like he's in the matrix. It's like you can hear every other syllable.
Yeah, it's like real. Yeah, you on some Morse code type shit. Yeah. Yeah, you just going, bro. I can't understand nothing you saying. Not a drop. Yo, was somebody supposed to be speaking next, or did we get
Yeah,
everybody?
I
Yeah,
wanted to
I'll be back.
respond. I
Go ahead.
wanted to respond to also Freeman's microphone is open. I don't know if it's causing an issue or not.
Say it again, Marcel. I missed the last part.
Prime's microphone is open, or at least it's open from my end, and that seems to be causing weird feedback.
Oh, yeah, that's Freeman reparation. Can you mute out Prime? Prime Freeman, can you mute?
If it's not letting him, he'll have to drop down and come back up. Because I think it's causing some feedback on mine.
Oh, okay. Hold on, let me see something.
And that could be causing feedback on the teams and T-Rex. But
Got it. Naheem,
so yeah,
try
I
to
want
speak now.
to say, Naheem,
Nah, you still.
no, it's still bad. But hey, let me just say this. I want to answer Kelly's question. The thing is, we can't really control. The thing is, like, if a person has a big platform and they decide to speak on reparations, we can't. The scary thing is, if it's a person who doesn't know what the heck they're talking about, but they have a big platform like we've seen happen, we can't stop them. Like, we can't go and unplug the camera set and take them off the air. What we can try to do, though, this is what I used to do. I used to have and I still have this principle. I used to say, where the cameras go, so does the message. That's why I used to start showing up at these town halls. I said, oh, the press will be there, then damn it, so will the reparations message. So I started doing that because they're not going to cover anything for us. They want to keep this. And the reason they may sometimes cover smaller rallies, because they want to make it seem like, oh, you see, ain't nobody checking for this, knowing damn well a lot of our people, when they hear it, will support it. The best thing to do in the event where a person like may have a big platform or any kind of platform, and they may be getting pushed to the front with the reparations message, the best thing I think is for us to reach out to that person and hopefully, and develop a relationship with that person. So hopefully, any of us who may be more well versed, that person can share their platform with us and put those of us on the stage. Because I know for me myself, when I was doing something here, I forgot the name of this religion, the Baha'i people, whatever, they offered me and I don't mean whatever in a disrespectful way, but I can't remember their name. Baha'i people, they offered me a segment in some little type of town halls they were doing here in Beaufort. And I didn't feel so comfortable leading the reparations room. But they gave me the opportunity. And I was like, hell, if I'm gonna talk about reparations, because I went to a town hall they held, and that's all I talked about. How Beaufort, outside of Charleston County, Beaufort County had the highest number of enslaved people per capita than any other part of America. Charleston County, then Beaufort County. And where I live now is a town called Ridgeland in Jasper County. But Jasper County was just a part of Beaufort County. They took it and made it to its own county. So pretty much where I live was the second highest density of enslaved people, 90% black, 90% enslaved population. And I spoke to how this area is one of the richest areas in the world, but we weren't. And I spoke to that, but I didn't know all the ins and outs. So I invited Yvette Carnell to come, and of course she didn't, and then blocked me after a while because I told forget it, I'll do it myself. And I ended up doing it myself. But that's what we have to ask of people who may have larger platforms, even if they know certain things about reparations. It's always good to have another person there because they may be able to pick up where you don't. If that person's not willing to do that, then the second best alternative, because we can't control them, is to use the assets we have. And if they have, let's say they're doing a Twitter space, or let's say they're doing a YouTube channel, or let's say they're doing some other type of forum where we may be able to interact with people watching, it's best for us to sometimes not necessarily correct them, but clarify things they're saying, or if they do say something incorrectly, then correct them, not in a disrespectful, rude way, but in a way that's going to make sure the message is clear. Because that's what I've done before, and that's the experience I had. On your phone, knock your speakers out, and then maybe they'll readjust. Because sometimes I've done that before.
Leslie, you want to speak?
Hey, yes, I do. Thank you for
Hey,
having me.
I was the next. I was the next up in line. But I just got three questions and
It
I'll
was
get it
not
out
there.
the way.
My bad. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay.
Yeah. So no, I'll be real quick, Leslie, because it's three questions for Marcel and just a quick statement. The sister that said, I think we got to be careful when we talk about white people being ignorant and not knowing. I think we do a disservice when we underestimate our opposition because you can't control a system this vast and this long and be ignorant about the people you subjugate. So I think we have to be careful with qualifying the white people that's in control that can make decisions like they're ignorant about black people. I'll say that. And Marcel, I wanted you to can you speak on three things? One, do you have a subscription based donation system set up? That's one. Two, can you also speak on that young sister who interviewed you? Because she really just melted my heart when I seen her speaking. And three, if Gavin Newsom was to run for president in 2024, being though he's the most high profile politician that even entertained reparations, should we support him? And I'll close.
Ooh, boy, that third question, I don't know, because that's an open borders, illegal immigrant loving, um, as far as I'm concerned, fake faux liberal. So I don't know if I could support him. And yeah, I know he's been quote unquote supportive of the reparations push in California, but let's be very clear about something. That ain't moving because of him. That's moving because of NAASD over there working their behinds up and forming alliances. I bet you, if Chad and them and Friday and Tiffany and them weren't working their behinds off, Gavin Newsom wouldn't be thinking of one bit about reparations. He would be sitting right there like like a lot of those anti-black white liberals are in California, being just as fine and dandy, but our people being 60% of the homeless in a state where just 6% of the population, lowest wage income. I can go on. So I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, I would not support him. So that he can flood this country with more illegals, so we can be 6% nationwide. No, and then bring back abortion, so black women can just be killing babies left and right instead of addressing the issues of poverty, the issues of lack of resources. that leads to abortion by far and wide. And Nigel, I do have donor box. Donor box, you can do donation subscriptions. So donorbox.org. And I can't remember your second question. Oh, the little girl. I don't know her name. This her name was Star. The little precocious girl that interviewed me and interviewed Tariq. Yes, her name was Star. But yeah, she really put me through the ringer. So I had to know my stuff when she asked me questions. Because she really did ask some very mature follow-up questions.
No, still in the matrix. So I think the brother Wayne was up next, right?
Now he needs to log in through his phone. You need to log into Twitter via your internet browser.
Yeah, I would definitely try to because you're in the matrix. So maybe if you got a different device, log in, keep the space going on this initial device, and then.
Yeah, go ahead, Wayne. Go ahead, Wayne.
Okay, appreciate it. So, yeah, I got a question. I appreciate everything. Shout out to the room. Shout out to the host. Shout out to the co-host. Real quick, Marcel, maybe you can kind of enlighten on this. What would you give a recommendation or a point of somebody who says, as you always say, get involved in the political aspect because they have certain positions like, waste management or like teachers or within like a local jurisdiction, you could probably get, some place. So say someone wasn't coming with that political background, where would you or anyone in the room could shed some light on like maybe like something locally in their county on a district level, on a, some on that level where they could, start maybe running for a position, things of that nature, if you see where I'm going with that question.
I think that, there's so many positions locally, but I know one thing that's important because, I'm always pushing for federal because I feel that's because I'm thinking mainly reparations. That's where it comes from. But locally, town councils and city councils have a hell of a lot of power. And excuse my expression, they really make the decisions, not so much the mayor. And when I look at a majority black city like Savannah, Georgia, where we are 70% of the homeless, 60% of those living in poverty, or I have it backwards, 70% of those in poverty, 60% of the homeless, and you got this coon of a mayor, this ugly lizard-faced bastard named Van Johnson. I speak for myself, talking about he has a task force called OLA for illegal immigrants. He has a task force for Asian Americans. There ain't even there. Savannah has less than 5,000 people who identify as Hispanic. Less than 5,000. Savannah, Georgia is still a pretty black damn city. Savannah, Georgia has even less people that identify as Asian than Hispanic. And he's doing a task force for some damn Hispanics and Asians with nothing for the people who built Savannah, whose cultures bring hundreds of billions of dollars to Savannah in just tourism alone. That's our culture they're looking at when they talk about River Street and warm, slow plantations and the tabby structures. I could go on. So the task force, I think he did that via a mayoral executive order. I don't know. But a county council could work. When I went in on his town or city council in Savannah's case, when I went in on him, one lady had my back and he removed me from the room. But I was so able to watch it via live stream on another account. And this one lady stood up for me and kept in contact with me and all. So city councils, town councils, but county councils are pretty powerful too. But you also have things like magistrate judges. And one thing that's near and dear to my heart, probate court. I don't know if it's a state level thing or what. Some probate courts, you don't need to actually have gone to law school to be a probate judge. And a lot of these southern states, at least, some people are judges who've never gone to law school, don't have any type of law degree, and they're judges. So running for office in that capacity too, because a lot of black land, as you know, being from Charleston, a lot of black land has been lost in probate court because of anti-black bigots, white, but also some black faces too, who sat there and let our property go up for tax default sales, or sat there and let our property underappraised and bought out. So I'm never going to deny the power of local government either.
Let me jump in. Let me know if y'all can hear me. I tried something.
Yeah,
Okay. So it worked. So it definitely worked. All right, cool. I want to just reset real quick because I got to end this room, y'all. We're going to go to Leslie in a few minutes, but I want to stress what the purpose of this particular room was. The purpose of this room was for healing, and I'm glad, right, that it's at the level of conversation where we're at now, because that's typical with the spaces that we hold over here with BTP. I notice we don't do none of the messy stuff. At times we got to address some stuff. We're not above that at all. At times we do have to address some stuff, but you see that this conversation evolved into a conversation about politics and reparations, because that's what we're in this space for. That's what we're fighting for. And the conversation, no matter what, when you're really about this, is going to keep circling back to these points, the things that are important to us in this movement, in this moment, for those of us that understand why we're here doing the things that we need to do. So I just want to give a recap to the space and let everybody know that this, go back, it's recorded, listen to it from the beginning. This is a space about healing. I asked a question based on Martin Luther King Jr.'s book, which I urge you all to go read. Where do we go from here? Chaos or community? I just switched it up and said community or chaos. Where do we go from here? Community or chaos? Because we can keep the chaos going, but that's not going to get us nowhere, right? If all of the, Brother Marcel spoke about fighting. I'm with that. I'm adopted the saying from the Matrix when Neo met Seraph in part 2 of the Matrix, and they start fighting him, and he was like, I had to make sure. And Neo was like, of what? If you was the one. And Neo was like, well, you could have just asked. And Seraph was like, no, you don't truly know someone until you fight them. And sometimes the fights is good. You get to know people a little bit, and out of those fights, sometimes, a lot of times, actually, bonds do develop moving forward. And I think that has happened a lot in this space. Marcel brought up earlier, we got into it, but nobody never knew, right? Nobody really knew because we never made it a public issue. It was just some behind the scenes stuff, never got into any of it in the public, just left it as it was, and that was that. It was a mature way to handle things. It's just that no matter what the other side is saying, and we seeing messages coming back and forth from this one and that one. Like, yeah, but are we going to just get on the whole Twitter space and just talk about, we're not going to do that. There's other ways to handle stuff. So I wanted to just stress that part. This was a space about healing. It's about healing. What people might want to keep the mess going. I don't think that is advantageous. I can't tell people what to do at all, but I just don't think that it's a sound strategy. And if you are in this to win, then, well, I don't got to say no more on that. Go ahead, Leslie, and then we'll come back to Reg Rock, and then I got to close this thing out, y'all.
Hello, and thank you for having me. I was so very happy. I mean, I haven't been in this room long, but so very happy with what I was hearing, because while I'm not new to reparations, I was new to the groups and the movement by the various groups. And one of my issues is exactly what you were just saying, the chaos. And I see Marcel is in this room, and we had a conversation in another room. I think that sometimes the message gets lost in the mayhem. And when people walk into or come into these groups to potentially learn about the movement and how they can help, all of the pettiness, the name calling, the fighting, that has nothing to do with reparations, turns people off. I was actually ready to say, you know what, I'm done with this, until someone told me about this space and said, hey, come in here. So I did. And in listening to all of you, listening to your questions, listening to what you want to do, I'm like, okay, well, maybe there is hope here, because I have to tell you, all of that other craziness, that's not going to get anybody anywhere. It's not going to get reparations. It's not going to get, legislative bodies or elected officials to want to champion the cause of reparations. And, all of these different groups, I don't know who they all are, but the infighting and I guess the phrase of the month or whatever it is run somebody down. It was just a huge turnoff to me. I mean, if we're going to fight, and I say we because, I'm a Black American too. If we're going to fight for reparations, we have to first stop fighting with each other. And, I don't know who thought it was good entertainment for all of this name calling, all of this pettiness, all of this not seeing the forest for the trees. But it saddened me. And I just, like I said, I want to say that I'm glad that I came into this group because I think I have heard some productivity, and I feel like maybe there is, again, hope for this movement. But I don't know what you guys are going to do about the various groups and all of the trolling and the fighting and all of that kind of stuff. But it's not going to help anybody get anywhere. And, somebody told me in another group that I was being condescending. I'm not being condescending. I'm no better than anybody else. But what I'm not is, a participant in chaos. I'm not a participant in calling people names and, trying to run people down, as they say. And that's never going to get us anywhere. I mean, we're going to need allies in this fight. And people are not going to want to align themselves with foolery. And, I don't know which group this is. Like I said, I'm still new to everything, but I just want to thank you for holding this space and for me being able to come in and see that there are people who are serious about this and are taking steps to move towards getting reparations. And I'll land my plane on that. Thank you very much.
Real quick,
Thank you. Thank you. Let me wait. Hold on, fam. Let me say that this particular group that's running this space is Be the Power and the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. These two names are names of our organization. What we represent is the push to have the status of freedmen resurrected in this country. And on our platform, we discuss in a plethora of ways how we feel that remedy comes about through this particular status. The name has been invoked over the past several Supreme Court cases because when we're looking at originalism and the intent of what the Reconstruction amendments was centered on and how other groups have been using them for their advantage, and it hasn't been used for us at all, although it was intended for us. It shows us that when we resurrected this term around 3 years ago, that we were on point. Groups, there are many different groups with many different names. So I wanted to make a distinction because some people think Freedmen is a group name or a clique name. And then some people get offended when I have to explain that Freedmen is not a group or clique name. Hence, Chickasaw Freedmen, Choctaw Freedmen, Cherokee Freedmen, Seminole Freedmen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These are people that retained that understanding because they never were given amnesia, if you will, to lose that name like we have. And I'm not going to rehash all of the history right here, but I want to stress that to everybody in the room because I see people, they hashtag Freedmen, FBA, ADOS, B1, et cetera, et cetera. While people may identify as certain things culturally, all of those groups are, in fact, if they can trace their ancestry back to an emancipated person in this country, American freedmen. So I just wanted to clarify that, not just for you, but for those that are listening in this room who may not know that. So I'm gonna go back to Reg Rock, and then I'm gonna shut this thing down. Go ahead, Reg Rock.
All right, real quick, fam. Y'all can DM me if you like. I do want some feedback on my position of dedicating to yourself to something, even if it's just a to-do list, while this energy is fresh after this march, because we don't want to just get into looking forward to the next march with having nothing, not doing anything up to then. Marcel, you're great. I know you said sometimes you get your head down from criticism, but I had my baby boomer uncle say, how you meet him, how you know him? I said, I just met him live, know him online. And he followed up with that man got the hand of God on him. So keep strong. We got your back, and send me some feedback on things to do, how we can dedicate ourselves into positioning ourselves to be more active. And since I'm new in this, a lot of people been in it longer than me. And I felt convicted after Marcel's speech. I felt convicted after Tesla's speech, almost the same way when we used to sit in church and said the preacher was talking to me. I see Juicy in here. I felt convicted after getting out of spaces with her. So y'all share some feedback on my idea of making a list of what to do to get yourself prepared. DM me if you have to, and everybody have a good rest of the weekend.
I'll DM
Indeed.
you. I just want to say real quick, no, criticism doesn't get me down at all. No, criticism really bothers me. I take it and name calling and trolling, those things don't really bother me too much. But I say it's feeling like I'm not being supported. I have my moments of bitterness then. I just wanted to clarify that.
Understood. But you know we got your back.
Indeed, I see people requesting. I'm not taking no more heads, family. I'm trying to shut this space down. Um, I see Brother Josh is pulling the Josh right now, and of course, coming up right as we going in. So I'm gonna let my brother Josh go in, and we going to close this thing out.
Hey man, I didn't have too much to say. I just wanted to say, 'cause I'm just coming on here. I've been with the family all day, but I just want to say, hey, I appreciate all the reparations out there. I appreciate everybody being in the fight, taking your energy, your time, your expertise, whatever you have to give, and bringing it to this fight. And some kind of way, we're gonna have to figure out how we can work together to get this thing done, no matter what your background is or what your perspective is on how to get it done. We're gonna have to come together. When I was in Brother Naheem and I were in Atlanta for the NAASD summit about a month ago, and I got a chance to talk to John Tateshi, and this guy, he was a Japanese American. He was over top of the, I think it was what was it called, Brother Naeem? The JATC or something like that. It was,
The only thing I remember is Nisei. That's it.
okay. Yeah. No, it was an organization that was
It's JACL. JACL.
JACF. Thank you. Whoever that was, thank you. But they actually were one of several organizations that were in the fight for the repair, or the at least acknowledgement and redress, and the closure of that Japanese reparations fight, for the internment of those people. And he highlighted, I mean, he wrote a book. It's called Redress. Y'all might want to pick it up if you have never heard of it, or if you were interested in the topic. But basically, he's talking about how there were a bunch of different groups and there were a bunch of people with different ideas, and everybody didn't agree. And eventually, the people with the most sound argument and way of engaging politicians and like the best, people ended up getting it done. And when it came down to getting behind those people who actually were getting the work done and organizing, and they pretty much made sure they came together and got the majority of the people behind that effort. So I just want to say, we got to really support people that's doing the real work. That's actually, and I'm not going to dismiss like putting people on the ground and putting numbers up as not being real work. That's part of the work too, because we got to spread the message and build support. But I'm talking about like when it comes time to get to the table, that type of work, and when it comes time to really go in depth and educate and go into like the weeds with the legal aspect, and do the politics. That's we got to support. We got to support those type of people, man, in this space. And I think a lot of times those people don't really get highlighted, is because they're doing work behind the scenes, and it's very, very impactful. And it's not until like the thing gets done that a lot of those people get recognized. And the real reason is because a lot of times they got to be protected. They got to be protected, and the things that they do might not need to be on Front Street, because it's a lot of people that on our side, and of course the opposition side, that are trying to run interference. So that's all I wanted to say. Let's just make sure that we build on the momentum of all these events, and understand that in the end it's going to take a large number of us coming together to get something done. And because there's definitely a much larger number of the opposition looking to fight against it. So with that, I'm gonna pass it back to you, brother Naheem.
Indeed, indeed. So, brother Reg, again, I'm gonna say what I told you earlier as well, and I know that and I'm glad that you're looking to do something, and I know brother Marcel is gonna hit you up, but Sister Teslin is in the room. I said earlier, she's doing workshops for political candidate, political organizer, and political operative. That's one of the ways that you can learn how to do political work, because the work that's needed for reparations is political work. And I'm hoping everybody understands that. As we came in the door saying that, the work that is needed for reparations is political work. Our understanding has to revolve around politics. Politics has to be the sun, and we have to be the earth and whatever other planets revolving around that sphere. And eventually, we have to become the candidates. We have to. And I think that those types of trainings and workshops are great insofar as understand, especially organizing. That's one I took, right? How to organize people. Because I don't feel that I'm a great organizer. I held the reparations rally last year. That joint was completely unorganized until Brother Ty Harper walked up to me and said, boom, Brother Naheem, this is what we're going to do. Boom, 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 boom. And it ran smooth. Now I know that I have a model to use from now on. I just wanted to make something happen. And in doing that, I learned a lesson. It was successful, but I still learned a lesson that you just can't do unorganized stuff, because it could have went crazy. Who knows if Brother Ty Harper wasn't there to just organize that thing on the spot with his former military experience, how the thing would have turned out. Everybody would have been speaking. We probably would have been holding whole freestyle sessions up there. I'd have been like, let me hear your best freestyle about reparations, man. Nah, I'm just saying. So, make sure y'all are getting the political education that is so important. Political education. Understand this reparations thing. Read from here to equality. Go ahead, bro.
We should speak to the Black South strategy a little bit before you close out.
Okay, cool.
I tried to do that on the stage yesterday. That was yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, but my time ran out because I had to cut out like 40% of my speech. That was going to be a part of
it. No doubt. And that's what I was going to speak on at the march we held on the 16th, but we didn't have no time, so I just said a few words and let Ali go in. But the Black South strategy is so important, family, and I'm going to be brief. For those that are not familiar with, we've been promoting this strategy ever since Charles Blow put that book out. It was something that we was hitting at as a group, Be the Power, but he brought it home with the scholarship. And that's why I say scholarship is so important, because it trumps our opinions, perspectives, ideas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What does the scholarship say, right? And what he did with the book, The Devil You Know, it brought the whole thing home for us, and we've been able to push that strategy. Many of you have heard Brother Marcel push that strategy. It is a part of our reparations talk, because we speak to the fact that if we have majority in a state, Mississippi, it'll take 700,000 freedmen to go to Mississippi for us to have majority. No, we don't have to rely on coalitions. No more listening to Stacey Abrams talk about, well, it's only because black people are 12% of the population. That's why, politicians don't talk about doing anything for them specifically. Oh, wait a minute. LGBT is like, what, 1% of the population? Asian Americans is what, 1%, 2%? I'm just
And
saying, I could be off on the
she knows
numbers.
they're undercounting us, and she knows we're undercounted in the sense that she knows that because Georgia is a highly undercounted state.
And Georgia is 31% freedmen or black folk, for those that are not familiar with the terminology, right? 31%. So that you can't use that. And we can eliminate that if we can start this process of just moving back to the South. Those of us that have the means to do so, that's in this space, that's in New York, like we have certain states, and 5 of them are the ones that we push the most, right? South Carolina, Georgia, Louisiana, Alabama, and of course, Mississippi. Those 5 states. And we got to get out of that thinking like somebody was like, I seen the movie Mississippi Burning. I'm like, man, listen, ain't no GDs coming down from Chicago or nobody, especially the gangsters I grew up with in New York coming down like they're going to be scared of some crackers. And it's, hell no. Like, where my people at? I go where I'm comfortable at. And if I can change the ethers, then I'm going to do that. And it's just as simple as that. And that's why I think that everything that we're doing is so important and that part of our message, because if we're able to get our own senators, what Marcel is doing is important because now we get to make moves in the House of Representatives. But could you imagine? Let's contrast. So Brother Marcel is a House rep, and he's able to get some legislation pushed. And, we put our arms around a couple people like, we're going to get this thing passed, man. So stop playing with us. We're going to bring some of that energy up into the House. It is what it is. It's coming. But then he becomes a senator, the senator of the state of South Carolina. I give the examples all the time of Macy Hirono and Tammy Duckworth, 2 Asian American senators. Y'all can Google this right now, that told the Biden administration, if y'all don't pass that AAPI bill, forget about our vote when you nominate somebody for a position, Supreme Court, et cetera, et cetera. We imagine if we had 2 senators, freedmen, that think like us, If y'all don't do this, don't come to us about no vote. That's power, family. That's how I started earlier talking about political power. This thing is a Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, and it's time for us to stop being the wildlings, for those of us that have watched the series, and start being the Lannisters and the Starks and the whatever other families, the Targaryens, because that's who we truly are. We are royalty. We just, been debased. But our resurrection is going to be one of the grandest things in human history. And it's going to start right here in this country. It's another of the reasons that we're pushing the Black South strategy, because eventually we can take our reparations into our own hands. Oh, y'all don't want to do what? Y'all don't want to forget HR 40. We got a new bill on the floor. Y'all not going, okay, cool. When you're the president, and you elect somebody, don't come to me. Don't come to me at all, because I'm going to abstain. And you're going to need my vote. So are we going to get this passed for my people? Okay, perfect. Now you got my vote. Like this is a Game of Thrones, family. We got to get there. And everything that we're doing right now is leading us to there. These conversations, marches, rallies, education, passing legislation like what was done in California, disaggregating and putting American freedmen on the record for the first time since Reconstruction. Again, shout out to my Cali fan. All of it. Lectures like the one that Sister Camilla did up in Boston the other day. I'm not sure who all was up there. I'm not sure if Dr. Darity was up there. I believe he was. The Zoom conference we had was with Miss Rose the other night. I mean, that joint was just powerful with so many people on there. You just hear This thing is moving. It's a well-oiled machine. And that is why I wanted to hold this space today. Everything kind of fell in place for it. I had planned on doing this anyway. And it is what it is. It is what it is, family. We are moving this thing forward. And I just want everybody to know that over here is love. We can fight. Don't get me wrong. we can kick ass over here. We've done it in the past. But we're choosing community over chaos. What will you choose? What will you choose? So I want to end this thing by saying, because I got a live stream tonight, family, and I want y'all to check it out. I'm going to be doing a breakdown. I think I'm going to call it Racism and Judaism. Shem, Ham, and the Curse of Canaan, or Canaan's Curse. I think that's how the flyer is drawn up. I'm going to be putting that link out. Make sure y'all check for the link on my page. We're going to go in, right? This ain't no anti-Semitic stuff, because we're going to break down who Shem is supposed to be and who that covers. And then I'm going to go in. I'm going to dig into some history that many people are not fully aware of. All my Hebrew Israelite brethren, y'all make sure y'all listen in. Y'all going to have some disagreements with this one. I'm letting y'all know right now. Y'all going to have some disagreements with this one. But all we do over here is just the facts. That's all we do. And those that have been following us from the Moorish school of thought, me from Sinetta TV going back 13, 14 years, y'all already know, man, it has been a laboring process until I got the thing refined, and now it is refined. And it still needs fine-tuning, of course. It still needs fine-tuning, but it's here. I'm going to go in on that tonight, 8 or 9 o'clock. I haven't decided on the exact time yet. I'm about to shut this space down. I wanted to have it. I'm on an hour over the time that I wanted to be on here, but I love you all, fam. Like, I do this out of love, regardless of the fact. And I'm just asking that we choose community and just cut the chaos out. Let the chaos die, because we're never going to get anywhere with that. For those that missed the beginning of the space, go back, listen to it. No shade, no none of that. I speak my mind. I have no problem with speaking my mind on a Twitter space, YouTube channel, telephone, face to face. I have no problem with speaking my mind at all. There's some things that, I could speak about that I don't like and all of that, but then that just kind of keeps that just keeps the chaos going. I ain't doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm choosing community, because that was the question Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. asked. Make sure y'all read that book. Where do we go from here, chaos or community? And for me, as a reparationist, it's a part of one of the books that I suggest people read, so you could understand the work that Martin Luther King Jr. was putting in. What's that, chapter 2, where he's going at the Black Power moniker, slogan, rather? I mean, he's like, it's cool, but he starts going in. I'm like, God, no wonder nobody ain't never hear about this book right here until more recently. Make sure y'all check that book out, fam. That was the inspiration of this space. I'll leave you all with the motto of our platform, which is, don't just fight the power, become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.